join me in welcoming Heidi Case. Good morning.
Good morning.
I will try not to cry through the whole thing. A wave of emotion just hit me. Thank you for having me here today. I am incredibly honored and grateful to be in front of such distinguished people. And thank you for the opportunity to let me tell my daughter's story. Life was perfect. My husband Greg had a wonderful job that he loved. Our 1.5-year-old son Wyatt was a dream, and we were expecting another baby, a girl we named Ellery. We had it all, and life was wonderful. But our world forever changed on September 9th, 2008, the day we learned our unborn daughter may not survive. I was 30 weeks pregnant and full of excitement the day I went in for an ultrasound. My excitement was taken away in an instant as I heard the ultrasound technician tell me fluid surrounded my baby's heart and lungs. My husband and I were sent rushing to United Hospital to get an in-depth ultrasound, fetal echocardiogram, amniocentesis, genetic counseling, and countless more tests. We were told our daughter's condition was life-threatening as she had developed bilateral pleural effusions. We were told her chances would plummet if the fluid spread throughout her body. A week later, we were back at the hospital for more tests and an ultrasound. The grim news came when the doctor entered and told us fluid had seeped into Ellery's scalp, officially diagnosing her with fetal hydrops and sucking away her chances at life. She was given 5%. The exact words are forever engraved in my mind. Her lungs may not be compatible with life. It is beyond devastating to hear something like that. A few days later, I was admitted to the hospital in the antepartum unit. The nurses took wonderful and outstanding care of me for 8 days before Ellery was born. September 30th, 2008, brought about the most twisted of roller coaster emotions. As I lay on the operating table, 33 weeks pregnant, I felt the cut across my belly and the flood of fluid immerse as the doctors pushed down to birth my innocent baby. She was blue, limp, and not breathing. She couldn't even let out a cry as the vicious fluid surrounded her lungs, making it impossible for her to breathe. The dedicated neonatal team was waiting for Ellery in the next operating room, waiting to try to save her life. It was 25 of the longest minutes of my life as I waited, sobbed, and prayed to God to give my baby life. The neonatal team took 14 ounces of fluid out of Ellery's chest, all while chest compressions were keeping her heart going. After 3 attempts, she was finally intubated and on the oscillating ventilator. It was then she was stable enough to move to her new private room in the NICU, the first home she would ever know. During her first day, she received 2 chest tubes to help drain the fluid from her innocent, tiny, swollen body. It was always touch and go, like all days in the NICU. But Ellery's first night was a nightmare lived out loud, as her oxygen and heart rate took a nosedive. The respiratory team rushed to her room, her blood gases were checked, and it was discovered Ellery was suffering from pulmonary hypertension as well as a pneumothorax. Ellery was within minutes, a nitric oxide tank was wheeled into her room, and all the tubes were connected, and Ellery came back. But she was nowhere out of the woods. Morning came, and we found ourselves rushing back to the NICU to be by Ellery's side once again, as she had no reserves left. It was then my husband and I took somber photos of our baby together, as we were not sure how much longer she would remain with us. Through this incredibly difficult time, we received amazing support from friends and family through Ellery's Caring Bridge website. This free website allowed our loved ones to leave messages of support for us, and it gave us an outlet to share Ellery's progress without explaining it over and over again. We were able to update her site sitting right in her room, even posting the most recent pictures of her. Caring Bridge has been a phenomenal way for us to communicate with everyone, even strangers, as Ellery's story is now featured on Caring Bridge's homepage. It's even reached 38,000 hits today. Back in the NICU, days came and went as she was slowly healing and fighting off the fluid that was trying to overtake her. We had her room filled with get well signs, pictures, and a calendar one of the nurses made for Ellery. We were so touched by the thoughtfulness of the nursing staff. And while I understand this practice is in question at this time, I hope all families can benefit from the crafty nurses. Ellery's calendar is framed today and hangs in her bedroom. From reading that calendar, I can tell you it was Ellery's 10th day of life when a nurse practitioner explained she had congenital chylothorax, which most likely caused her high drops. To reduce the fat and fluid in her system, she was started on a low-fat formula, which seemed to do the trick, as it slowed the fluid accumulation in her chest. I was so grateful the staff found this and was able to reduce the fluid. I think I actually hugged the nurse. I've since developed a special bond with a few of Ellery's nurses and some medical staff. These relationships are so special to us, as these are the people who saved our baby's life. My family and I are forever grateful to them as they helped us in our darkest hour. The next few days brought about good news as Ellery had her left chest tube removed and was extubated. We cried tears of joy as we watched our little girl take her very own first breath and cry when she was 12 days old. To hear your baby cry for the first time, most parents hear that beautiful sound right at birth. We waited 12 long days. A few days later, her right chest tube was removed and Ellery was on the fast track to recovery. She came off oxygen and had absorbed almost all of the fluid, showing us what a little peanut she really was. During rounds, the staff would often step into Ellery's room and marvel at her. They called her the incredible shrinking baby. And I must tell you, the private rooms in the NICU are heaven sent. We found our room to be somewhat of an oasis that allowed time to slip by quickly and quietly while our baby healed. It also allowed us to spend almost every moment with Ellery during her 28-day stay, sleeping in her room almost every night. I could not have imagined it any other way. And the staff was amazing, tending to our every need, request, and constant questions.